Cachaça is an incredibly versatile and delicious spirit, but there's so much more that you can do with it than just make caipirinhas. And in this video, I'm going to show you 3 other cocktails that you can make with cachaça that are out of this world. I love a good caipirinha, don't get me wrong, it's one of my personal favorite cocktails. But the spirit of cachaça, there's so much versatility to it, and there's so many other great cocktails that you can make with this spirit that not many people know about. So the 3 cocktails I'm going to show you today, the first 2 are actually considered to be the 2nd and 3rd most popular cocktails to ever come out of Brazil. And the 3rd one I'm gonna show you incorporates 2 of my favorite spirits, and it comes from a fantastic bar called Leyenda in Brooklyn with their head bartender, Ivy Mix. So the first one I'm gonna show you is called a Rabo De Galo, and it actually translates directly to cocktail. This is a super easy cocktail. It's just 3 different ingredients. We're gonna do cachaça, sweet vermouth, and Cynar. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our mixing glass, and we are going to do 3/4 of an ounce of our Ipioca Ouro, which is a aged cachaça. We are then going to do 3/4 of an ounce of Cynar, which is an artichoke aperitif or amaro. And then lastly, we're going to do 3/4 of an ounce of Carpano Classico sweet vermouth. If you have Carpano Antica, better yet. I just don't have any right now, so we're gonna go with this. It's quite good as well. And then we're just going to fill up this bad boy with ice. Try not to make a mess. And we're just gonna stir it. And so the story of this cocktail is actually pretty interesting. It was created in the 1950s, I believe in southern Brazil, and it came about because a vermouth company wanted to start selling more vermouth in Brazil, but Brazilians just weren't really about that. So someone decided to come up with an idea to create a cocktail that incorporated cachaça, Brazil's favorite spirit, and vermouth. And then people just started running wild with the idea. And then we got to this recipe that I'm showing you today, which is one of the more widely accepted recipes for a Rabo De Galo. And I actually believe that they're trying to get this recipe accredited and instilled into the International Bartenders Association. That way it's more of like a classified recipe, I guess. Either way, it's just fantastic and delicious, even if it's not internationally recognized. So then we're actually just going to pour it over a large cube. And then to finish this one off, we're just gonna grab a lime and do a little lime tail. So then we're gonna express the oils over that. And then we're just gonna twist it up, make a little lime twist. And I like to do it so that it looks like a little tail, because Rabo De Galo means cocktail. It's a lime tail. All right, let's give this one a taste. Man, that is good. It's a little bit bitter from the Cynar, a very crisp from the cachaça, but very mellow, easy drinking. Fantastic, fantastic cocktail. Highly recommend giving this one a shot. We'll put that one aside for now and move on to the next one. But all right, the next cocktail I'm gonna make for you is called a Batida, which in Portuguese translates to smoothie. And so this is going to be a blended cocktail, and we're actually gonna build it right in our little blender here. This is a cocktail that's a little less formal. There's not like a definitive recipe to it, though most people might say that it's just cachaça, coconut milk, a little bit of lime, and some sort of fruit juice or fruit puree. But I'm gonna make it for you the way that we serve it at La Bereda's, because it's the recipe that I personally like the best. So we are going to start with 1 ounce of coconut milk. If I could get it to come out. All right, there we go. 1 ounce of coconut milk. We are going to do 1 ounce of passion fruit puree. We are going to do a 1/2 ounce of lime juice. We are going to do 2 ounces of a Balsamo aged cachaça. I'm using Cachaça Salinas. Balsamo is a traditional Brazilian wood that they use to age a lot of different cachaças. I kind of spilt, but still got about 2 ounces in there. Took my eye off the prize there. And then the last interesting ingredient that you might find in some of these recipes for a batida is sweetened condensed milk. And we are going to do 1 ounce of sweetened condensed milk. And the last ingredient that I like to add is a little bit interesting possibly, but it's cinnamon. I find that cinnamon and cachaça go really, really well together, so I do about a 1/2 ounce of cinnamon syrup. And then we are just going to fill this up with ice, cap it off, grab our little blender here, and blend that up. And then I had actually already pre-rimmed this glass with dehydrated coconut flakes. You don't have to do this step. It's just I'm showing you exactly how it is that I serve it at the restaurant. And then we're just gonna pour the cocktail right in. As you can see, it's basically, it comes out like a frozen pina colada or something like that. And it's very, very creamy, very delicious. And ooh, last little step that I forgot to do is I like to do some lime.
One eternity later.
Lime zest, that's the word I'm looking for. I like to do a little bit of lime zest over this. And then we are going to just grab our straw. I'll take a sip of that. So like I said, very creamy. It has nice fruit flavor from the passion fruit. The lime gives it a little bit of a crispness. The coconut milk leaves it nice and creamy. Sweet condensed milk adds a little bit of sweetness to it, and the cinnamon helps to round it all out, while the cachaça gives it a nice full body. This is a fantastic summer cocktail, or honestly an anytime cocktail. I'm not gonna judge you, you drink it whenever you want, but I think it's a fantastic summertime cocktail. It's great to make for people. You can make it in large quantities in a large blender. It's a fantastic party cocktail, if you will. And super, super crushable, if I will say so myself. All right, now the last cocktail I'm gonna make for you is called Lil Smokey. And like I said, this cocktail comes from Ivy Mix at Leyenda, and it actually comes from her book, Spirits of Latin America. This is a book that completely opened my eyes on Latin American cocktails and using Latin American spirits. For a long time, I have been trying to find ways to add cachaça to cocktails and make cachaça cocktails. And you know, I had some success with a couple of them, but then getting this book and reading through what Ivy Mix did and her team at Leyenda did, there's some great cachaça recipes in here, fantastic tequila recipes, mezcal, and pisco. An amazing book if you want to learn about anything to do with Latin American spirits and Latin American cocktails. This is a kick-ass book. It came out pretty recently. I am genuinely in love with this book. It is something that I cannot recommend highly enough. And even though I haven't been to Leyenda myself, I've been following them very closely on the internet, and it's on my list of places to visit. And as soon as I find myself in New York City, I will be making my way over to Brooklyn and to Leyenda. So yeah, I can't wait for that. And let's jump into this cocktail. I've talked enough. So this cocktail is a little bit like a riff on a caipirinha, but with sage and a little bit of pineapple. So we're gonna build it in our cocktail glass. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how they do it at Leyenda, but when we adapted it for our menu here at La Boredas, I started building it in a mint julep tin because I think it represents a julep very well, but I'm gonna do it in this cocktail glass so that you can see what's going on. So the first thing we're gonna do is grab half a lime, cut up into fourths. If only I could grab it. And then we're gonna add about 5 sage leaves. We're gonna muddle this right in our glass. Expressing some of those oils from the limes, mashing it up with the sage to get that nice herbaceous flavor. And then we are going to do 3/4 of an ounce of pineapple syrup. You could use pineapple juice. I just make a syrup because it lasts a little bit longer. And then where I'm gonna do a little bit different than the spirits that Ivy Mix calls for is I don't have a legal mezcal, but I do have shikaru, and it's what I like to use. It's a little bit more milder on the smoke side, but we're gonna do 1.5 ounces of shikaru. And then she also calls for Novo Fogo Silver. I have that cachaça, but I like to use Ipioca. So I'm gonna put Ipioca in this one, but if you have Novo Fogo Silver, feel free to use that. And this is 1/2 ounce of the Ipioca. And you're kind of done, but I'm gonna do it with a little bit of crushed ice, just about halfway. And then we are going to just mix this up to incorporate some of the flavors all together. And then we're going to finish topping it with crushed ice. And then last but not least, we are going to just garnish with 3 little sage sprigs, which I will smoke a little bit because I like to be extra. So we're gonna put those right there, grab a nice little butane torch, and just scorch these up a little bit, get them nice and smoky so that when it travels through the dining room and gets to our guests, it smells delightful. Oh, love the smell of burning sage. And we're just gonna grab a couple straws, put it in that bad boy right there. Smell that sage. Love that. A little bit of smoky from the mezcal, crispness from that prata cachaça, and then you have the little bit of sweetness from the pineapple, citrus from the lime, and the sage just brings it all together. This is a fantastic cocktail and one that I genuinely love. It puts together two of my favorite spirits, mezcal and cachaça, and honestly, the team over at Leyenda and Ivy Mix, they knocked this one right out of the park. It is a fantastic cocktail. Nothing too crazy, so you can make this at home. Highly recommended, super delicious. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.